Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit podcast, where we have fun talking all things hunting, and in the process, do our best to support small and family-owned businesses in the hunting space. Here are your hosts and resident bandits, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, everybody, and welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. With you, as always, is your host, myself, Jimmy Byrne. And along with me is my co-host, Richard Kinchlow. How you doing, sir?
Good evening, sir. I'm doing just great. Good to be back.
Yes, other than the sounds like the cold or something you got there.
Yeah.
You know, it is wintertime. Everyone has it.
Yeah, well, and the typical Texas winter is, in fact, that it's kind of funny because I think today the high was 68, and tomorrow it's going to be like 50, and then the next day it's going to be 40. So stuff starts to bloom, then it freezes, and then we all get sick and pneumonia. I mean, it's amazing we're still alive.
Right.
A lot of fun.
Right. Well, you know me. Every year, typically around the end of November, all the way through December hunting season and everything, I'm dying.
Oh yeah.
It's the cedar fever. It's
Absolutely.
everything blowing around. I mean, it's.
Yep.
Constantly pumping myself full of allergy medicine and everything just so that I can get through sitting in the blinds sometimes, but without scaring everything away.
The scourge of the Texas Hill Country is as we call them, the cedar tree, but I think it's the mountain juniper.
Right.
Not only do they drink all of our groundwater, but they make us sneeze. Yeah.
But you got to fight through it in order to have some fun weekends. And I think today, what we wanted to talk about is just, how our hunt went around Christmas and to New Year's, and during the week that we affectionately call Heaven Week, right?
Right.
From the day after Christmas till typically, New Year's Eve.
Yep.
We like to go and go hunting. There's not much going on in other jobs or anything like that, and
Right.
Take it away.
Yep. No, it's been a tradition for a long time now. And boy, what a ball to be able to, to be out there and I always love when I'm driving down there on the 26th. I say to myself, okay, well, I'm going to get 6 morning hunts and 5 evening hunts. My God, those are numbers I can't comprehend in any other month. So,
right.
Yeah, no, it was a ball. And of course, the other thing I start looking at, is a week out is the weather, and what's it going to do? Is it going to cooperate? And this year I think it did. I think it was fine. In fact, I think it was a little bit warm. But the deer seemed to move, and gosh, that's all we really care about. Night one, I think, was it night one? Was it night one? We had all you weren't there yet, but was it all the rain?
Yes, that's when it was just a washout.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. So on December, talk about, people say, and of course it probably say the other thing about other states, but they say if you don't like the weather in Texas, just wait about 4 minutes and it'll change. Boy, that it couldn't be further from the truth, it was
closer to
the truth. Sorry, it's been a long day. Then what we happened on the 26th, we woke up. It's coming back to me now. The 26th, we woke up, head down there, and it was literally like spring weather. The birds were chirping. I felt like everything was starting to bloom, and boy, the thunderstorms start stacking up, and we had rain and lightning all day, all night, and the wind was howling. I think we had probably close to 2 inches. So here we go again, kind of bittersweet, right? But it was raining so hard and the lightning was so intense that we said, we're not going to get in the deer blind. So we kind of reverted back to what we typically like to do during a good old spring thunderstorm, and then that is fire up the smoker. And we cooked a bunch of chicken, and the little kiddos played in the barn where we clean our deer, and we just sat there and watched the rain. It was hopefully it's a preview of spring and summer. Obviously the more rain the better. So, but yeah,
filled every tank.
No, absolutely. Oh God, our tanks overflow with. Yeah, oh no, for sure. We are okay in the water department. And and then consequently, because we've had so much water, the blue bonnets this year will be really it'll be the best crop since my daughter was 2, so that's going to be, it'll be the best crop we've had maybe in a decade, to be honest with you. So it's real exciting. But yeah, the 27th was great because you showed up, of course, and
always make it better.
Absolutely. And the reason for all the thunderstorms, of course, was your typical. We had a cold front coming in, and it was hot and humid. And I'm no meteorologist, but pretty sure when those two things combined, you get a lot of turbulent weather. So the next morning, we woke up to cloudy skies, a north wind, and I believe it was in the high 30s. So it was great. I was out duck hunting, of course, and it did really well. I think I ended up shooting about 4 birds, which, the limit 6, and really shooting anything, from where we are is pretty darn good, but 4 is even better. So yeah, that night, I don't know if we shot any deer. We may have.
Not that, I don't think that night, but that morning didn't Matt shoot a deer?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, one of our good buddies actually shot a real nice management 10-point. It ended up being about 100 I think it was 170 pounds, 10-point. Just didn't have anything going for him. He was. See if I can find a picture, and we'll post it in this thing. But he didn't have very tall tines. He wasn't very wide. He certainly wasn't very tall. And again, for a 5.5-year-old deer, although he's 10 points, okay, and he was symmetrical, he just doesn't have any of those trophy characteristics that we're looking for. Okay, so we would rather obviously take a nice mature deer like that out than obviously in our case a spike or a year and a half old 4-point. So yeah, no, it was great, and then that night we decided to grind, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So we had since we're really the beginning of the deer season, we'd been kind of saving up some of the other deer that we had harvested for our kind of annual grind, and I brought down a lot of 70-30 hamburger grind to mix in, and we just started that up that night. Had a good time doing that. Really enjoyed doing that. This time, of course, we did it in December, where we didn't wait till March or April.
Yeah.
for reasons not to be spoken.
Yeah.
But no, it ended up working out great. I think that it felt like that was the fastest we had ever done it. And a lot of it, I think, had to do with that foot pedal on that grinder.
I agree.
Which we never had before. No. It was always, stop, turn it off.
Absolutely.
Why did we not invest in that a long time ago?
Well, I know. I've been saying it for years. It was kind of at that price point where I was like, I think we'll be okay. But yeah, as we consume the alcohol, our reaction time really starts to diminish. We're like, start, and then there's if you were to measure it on a scale, I mean, it would go from a tenth of a second to almost 2 seconds, to where you actually like, oh, I need to turn it on. So having the foot pedal definitely made a difference. For those of you out there who use a processor, I mean, obviously nothing wrong with that. It's certainly easier. I mean, obviously it costs you a little bit of money, but if you have never tried processing your own meat, give it a whirl. It is a lot of fun. It's really rewarding, and obviously once you purchase the equipment and kind of understand what you're doing, as long as you don't factor in your time as far as cost is concerned, I mean, you really come out pretty good.
Right.
And as far as what
I was just gonna say that these machines, like the one we got, one of those Cabela's, right?
Yes.
Cabela's grinder. I mean, we've put a lot of meat through that thing. Yes, it costs some money, but that's good quality. Machinery there.
No doubt.
doubt. I think we've paid for it.
No doubt. And I'll tell you what, she was in use again last night. Our good friend borrowed it. He grinded a hog and a deer, and two deer, one of which was like a 170-pound buck. And he did that last night, and he was up he started at 7. He got done at 3 a.m. He said. I was looking back at my phone. So yeah, crazy. But Jimmy's right. There are lots of grinders out there. And if you're looking at doing deer meat, you're looking at doing hog, you're looking at if you're thinking about making it a hobby, buy a nice one. I think the one that we bought was, and this was, God, how long has it been now, Jimmy? It's probably been 7 years, maybe longer.
Easy.
Okay.
Easy. Probably longer.
Okay. We spent a little bit of money. I think that we bought the second from the top of the line, and really when it comes to grinding, and I haven't looked at them in a while, but it was really kind of like the horsepower, and had how many, how much can you grind per minute and all that kind of stuff. So we went with something that could, that we could do a bunch of meat in and get it through pretty quick. They've got the cheaper ones and whatnot, and I think that'd be good for a real small load. But if you're doing a couple of deer, you need something big and strong for sure.
Well, especially if you're gonna do it right with like you want to, if you're doing deer but you want to mix it with, say, hog or something with fat, like what I like to do, I've done it many times, is like bacon ends and pieces. Something with a high fat content. You want something that's pretty heavy duty. I'm not we're not talking like restaurant, commercial, necessarily totally commercial, but
we're not.
What
we're
you
not
could buy
talking something you could do a bone-in elephant in,
right, right,
which would be interesting.
But no, but there's a huge difference between using 80-20 hamburger and 70-30,
right?
As far as like how it accumulates on the drill or the grinder bit and all that. Right. So it's if you're gonna do it right with recipes and you want to have that fat, definitely put the money out there, and you'll be happy though, because it'll last.
Yep. Definitely get a grinder that will that will get it done for you. There's no doubt. So yeah, when it was, just to give you all kind of a perspective of what we did, we had 13 1-gallon Ziploc bags full to the brim, and I mean full to the brim. You barely zip them. Some of them you couldn't. Full of deer meat, and I think they were probably 3 or 4 pounds a piece. So we had 13 of those, and that's what we did, combined with. I
brought let's see, I think I brought about 15 or 16 pounds of the 70-30.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So when
I
it
think
was
we did
all
roughly about 1/3.
Okay.
1/3 hamburger, 2/3 venison.
Okay.
And this is for our base.
Yeah.
Like we just did a base grind, so we weren't doing it following really any kind of a recipe, for like a particular flavor or anything like that. We just wanted to build up a lot of base to where, later on we could use it for whatever we wanted, hamburgers or spaghetti meat or meatballs or,
exactly.
Chili, whatever.
Just your everyday, ground meat. And what do you mean? What he's kind of expand on what you mean by the base. So typically, if we're going to do, fresh sausage or smoked sausage or Italian, whatever it may be, we will get the base meat going, So in this particular instance, if we were making sausage, we would get all of our base meat processed and chopped, and then we would start adding the seasonings. So if we were doing jalapeno cheese, we'd take a third of the tub of base meat, and we'd salt and pepper and garlic, and then we'd do jalapenos and cheese, and that will be our jalapeno cheese, sausage. So but before you get to making the sausage, you got to have the base. And I tell you what, if we can do it, that would be kind of fun to do a little video and a post podcast on making some sausage. We haven't done that in a while. That's a ball. Yeah. That's a ball
for sure. For sure.
Yep.
We'll have to break out Tyson's old little his old smoke hunt hunt.
Oh yes.
Remember that?
Oh, of course. Oh yeah. And,
Wow, what a weekend that was.
oh, it was. That was a good time. That was like 500 pounds of meat total. Oh my God. What a. It was exhausting, but a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Oh
So
yeah, a lot
yeah.
of no sleep. That's for sure.
Yes. We were younger then too, so we could handle it. So.
Right.
So yeah, the morning of the 28th, we woke up and I of course went duck hunting again. And let's just put it this way: the morning of the 28th, the morning of the 29th, the morning of the 30th, the morning of the 31st, I did not shoot a single duck. As we said on kind of the earlier podcast back in the beginning of the duck season, I started off with a bang. I mean, I limited my first duck hunt or my second duck hunt out, which never happens, but typically over Heaven Week, things are okay. And again, obviously, as we've said a million times, it's not about killing birds and all that. But for God's sakes, I just like to see some, It was crazy because we had the cold fronts. I mean, but I just didn't have any action, and typically the later in the season, the birds get more spooky. I mean, I know this. I play this game every year. So, instead of having 12 decoys out there, I had like 6, and I actually had some wins. They were rocking. They actually looked good. And I swear to God, 4 morning hunts, I didn't see a single duck. But being the idiot I am and glutton for punishment, every morning I woke up and went out there and put my decoys on and let my dog get full of cactus and rolling around in black-buck antelope poop and for no reason. So, but
well, I'll give you this.
Yeah,
you are disciplined.
Oh, for sure.
Diligently and going out there for your ducks.
Absolutely.
And we do give you crap.
Yes, of course.
For not going deer hunting.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they like to go sit in their warm, toasty, elevated deer stands, and I'm out there on the water, freezing to death. And
yeah, well, that's a good segue into my morning. That the 27th morning.
Yes.
Or was it 26th, 28th morning?
28th. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not warm and toasty blind. I'll tell you that much. I was in the the road blind.
Oh yeah,
which is I mean, that's a good 20 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
So I mean, how high?
That was a cold morning. I forgot.
That was a cold morning.
I forgot.
Low. I mean, it was it freezing? If not, it was 35. I mean, it was like 34.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, as the sun comes up, it gets colder. Or it feels colder. That feeling and everything. And
absolutely.
And I'm up there, and I have the way the blind sits. You got to kind of have your head on a swivel to see where things are because they come from in the front or the in front of you or behind you to your sides. And I'm sitting kind of like where it's sideways, where I'm going like left and right, so I can see, either way. So I have both those windows open in case something were to come up. And just the wind was just perfect, flowing right through that window out the other window, So that was extremely cold.
God, okay,
but I was thinking, I'm looking at it, I was like, God, it's only low 30s or whatever, because I've sat up here like when it's been in the teens, and for some reason it just felt colder than that.
Sure.
I don't know what it was.
Right.
But it was funny, I saw some good deer and like I saw some good doe, in the early light and everything. But I was thinking, we see a lot of deer here typically, so might as well kind of hang out and see if we can see a management buck or something. And
sure.
We've been going after this one 6-point that y'all got on a camera, on a picture, a game camera. And I remember I got a text from one of our buddies who's sitting at a blind, kind of right north of me, basically. And he texted, said, "Oh, I saw the 6-point. He just came through and went left to my right." Well, to his right was towards me, and I didn't think anything of it. And about 15 minutes later or so, I look over and here comes the 6-point, through here, and I'm like, "Oh, is that the guy?" And I'm sitting here, examining him with my binoculars, and of course my hands are freezing because I'm looking through the binoculars. I didn't have gloves, so I was, and he's coming up. I'm like, I think that might be him, but the guy, just like at the other blind, he just wouldn't stop. You know, and I put my binoculars down. I was getting my gun up, and something spooked him or something like that, and he just ran off.
No.
So we didn't. Neither of us got a shot at him. Did we? Did anyone? No one got him that.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's still he is still roaming free. I mean, he's I think he's a 2.5-year-old 6-point, which on this particular piece of property under the management program we have, he does not make the cut. At 2.5, you need to be at least an 8-point. Again, and a lot that's depending on the the range conditions and all that kind of stuff. But the genetics and all that, and the range conditions we've had, he definitely is on the chopping block. He has no clue how close he's come to death. But we still got time. This particular piece of property we're on is under managed land deer permits in the state of Texas. So theoretically, I think we could hunt them until February 28th. But typically, we shut it down at the end of January. So we'll see. We're gonna go after him again this weekend.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was so I didn't end up pulling the trigger that morning.
Right. That's what was that? That was the 20. Okay, the 28th. That was Friday. Yeah. Yes, I remember Friday. Yeah. Okay, so that afternoon.
Oh, we skipped. We skipped the night before. My sit. When I said it tornado, and you said it the other one.
Oh, and
all the turkey.
Oh yes.
I'll put some of those pictures on this one too.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you dropped me off at I don't know, probably 30 minutes before the feeder went off at that blind, and literally as you pulled over the hill, going just slightly disappearing. Right. I look up the road, and here come 30 turkey, 30 hen, just coming down to the feeder. And your dad had said, hey, we're getting a ton of turkey here, right? And sure enough, they showed up. So it ended up being an interesting hunt.
Oh, absolutely. But,
it was just amazing how the turkey were acting, when I was sitting there, just not a care in the world, really.
No, for sure. It's crazy during deer season. They seem just to be so lethargic and lackadaisical. They just don't seem to care, But obviously, come turkey season is a completely different story. So, I
know where I'm hunting.
What's that?
I know where I'm hunting.
Oh, absolutely. Golly. Yeah, no kidding. And I was at a blind and, not too far away. And, I think I saw one buck late, and I did see a big old black hog about 400, 500 yards away. And if he had just stayed there a tad bit longer, I would have seriously considered taking a shot at him. But I did not. So, but that was okay, because the following night on the 28th, I would get my chance, and I did end up putting a nice management buck down. We had again, people, a lot of hunters out there. So a lot of hunters, obviously anti-hunters, are really against corn feeders because they say it's quote unfair. Okay, well, here's a great example of why not only are corn feeders very fair, but in my opinion, I think everybody should be able to hunt over them. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I think Texas has got such a nice genetic wise. Of course, not in all areas. Okay. But overall, it's pretty darn good, and that's because feeders allow hunters to be selective. And by selective, I mean the deer are there, they're eating corn, they're eating protein, whatever you're throwing out, and it gives you the ability to study them. Okay, so here, case in point, I was hunting at a blind, and I had what is probably a 4.5-year-old mega 10-point come in. He is at least 21 inches wide. his actual tines don't kind of curve up and out. They go, they are in rather. They go up and then out. I mean, it's very, very unique looking. He is just, he's beautiful. But of course, he's only 4.5 years old. And that's something that we want to, we definitely want to keep around. Okay. So he was kind of the first customer in the feeder. Again, he's eating corn and he's happy. About 10, 15 minutes later, I have another 3.5-year-old 8-point come in. This guy has got some serious height, some serious height. He's got some nice, beautiful tines, got great mass. Again, another animal that you'd be a fool to shoot, okay? Because he's still got a lot of time left in him, right? Well, the third animal that came, well, we had a little fawn come in there, which was kind of funny. Just looking at this, it was a little button buck. And just to see him with all the other dads, I thought was kind of amusing. Well, I guess it'd be the fourth buck that came in was the buck that I ended up harvesting, and he ended up being a 5.5-year-old 9-point. And again, I got a really good picture of him. So let's talk about him. Clearly 5.5. And again, because of the feeder, because they were comfortable, I got to sit there and really take a look at these animals and compare and contrast. Okay, and it was really cool because I had a 3.5, 4.5, and a 5.5. That's awesome. So to be able to have those specimens right there and do a nice age comparison is really cool. But as far as the antlers were concerned on this guy, he really, really good in chocolatey type antlers, which I always kind of like. He had some decent mass on him, which obviously is a testament to the cottonseed and the protein, and just overall decent range conditions this year. But what he didn't have is he didn't have any width on him. Okay, he was probably 13 inches, and in the state of Texas, or maybe 13 inches, maybe 14, between 14 and 12 to 14 inches. In the state of Texas, most counties are under antler restrictions, so where you can't shoot any buck inside of 13 inches. So I'm not even sure if I could have killed this guy if we weren't under the special permits by the state. So again, the guy did not have any width to speak of. He wasn't necessarily tall, okay? So he had that going against him. So really, when it all boiled down, he was a 9-point too, okay? So it's not like he was a buzzsaw 15 or a massive 10. The guy was a 9-point. He just didn't have a lot going for him. So again, on this particular piece of property, we're looking at taking some of these older bucks. And again, as opposed to, as opposed to like a spike or something. So I put him down. Great shot. And, I guess again, it went 5.5, ended up being about 170 pounds. And, he's great. Absolutely. Another great success story. Another, point in the win column for having feeders, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, no question. And, that night was a success all around for Feed Bandit, because if you remember, I got mine as well.
That's right. That's right.
A blind not too far from where you were. And
yep.
My guy, he he came in probably about 5 minutes after the feeder went off.
Right.
He was eating a little bit, then all of a sudden, once again, another 20 turkeys come in, only this time they're toms.
Right.
And I mean, they were just going nuts around that corn, and it scared him off.
Right.
Because I was looking at him and I was like, oh man. Like right when he walked out, I pretty much knew I was going to shoot him because it was like so blatantly obvious. Like he, just looking at his body, I mean, he still had a huge neck. I mean, it was ridiculous, and his face was really short.
Right.
And then he had, he had some mass. He was an 8-point.
Sure.
He had some mass, but he didn't have any height whatsoever. Remember?
Right.
I mean, just really short.
Right.
Just and kind of not really that much width either, probably, but really, really short height. I look at him and I knew he was at least 4.5. I was thinking maybe 5.5. So I was like, okay, and then the dang turkeys ran him off. So I thought, all right, well, one, they're going to eat all the corn, and then
Sure.
they're going to disappear, and then, I'm not going to see anything.
Right.
So, but, you got to be patient. And for whatever reason, the turkey, they ate about probably half the corn, and they just got bored. They decided to run off, and they were talking there aloud. It was like they're, I don't know, all had like at a bachelor party or something.
Sure.
It was having a grand old time.
Party.
Well, they run off they kind of walk off to the back end, and then about 5 minutes later, to the right, sure enough, that guy comes back in. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's coming back, then that means, it's like destined for me to harvest this guy now, So yeah, I shot him, good shot. He kind of ran about 10 yards and fell down and then waited a little bit, came and picked him up, and I remember texting you saying, "Hey, you need help?"
Absolutely.
You're like, yeah,
absolutely.
Yours was too big to put into the ATV,
yes,
or to the 4-wheeler.
Yeah,
and ours ended up weighing the same. Mine was 170 as well.
Yep.
And it took me several tries just to put it on my hitch haul.
Yep.
I finally got him on there. I was like, oh my God, it's the heaviest deer I've shot in several years, I think.
Well, and it's crazy. You look how heavy they were, 170 pounds. And obviously, when we shot them late December, that's definitely post rut, and I think they've lost, they can lose close to 20% of their body weight, something like that. And that's insane. So, you can imagine how heavy they would have been. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we both brought back, I think, some pretty good management bucks that night. Absolutely. That was a fun night.
That was definitely a fun night. But I think you could probably agree with me in saying that the following night was definitely the best. The best. The coup de grace.
Yes.
Obviously, one of the many things that we're trying to accomplish by this whole concept of Feed Bandit is again, talking about hunting and the outdoor lifestyle and all that, and by doing social media and all this kind of stuff that we're doing, we're really hoping try to to attract the younger crowd as well, and it is our job as hunters, and for folks listening out there, it's your job as well to if you're in the hunting and the outdoor lifestyle, to pass it on to your children, to other kids, to other adults, obviously, And so, boy, there is just nothing greater than when your kids become of age and they can be out there in the blind with you and experience those things. And we're not just talking about the shots. We're talking about being in the blind and and seeing two turkeys go at it. Or having a bobcat cross by you, or just seeing a sunset. Those are the little things in life that those are the experiences and the sensations you cannot get from electronics. Okay, that's real living. And here I go off on a little tangent again, but again, passing it on is so important. So some of the folks that hunt with us on Rancho Bandido, we've got children, and boy, was it a great honor to be there for the first ever child female deer harvest. So her name is Lacey, and I think she's I think she's 8 or 9. She's gonna kill me. Regardless, she's under 10, I believe. Yeah, she's under 10. The sweetest thing you'll ever meet, and boy, did she make her papa and mama and sister proud, and of course, all of us as the supporting cast. Lacey shot a real nice management buck. Ended up being he was kind of like mine. He was on the cusp between 4.5 and 5.5, and they had a little bit of a ridge. I think we put him down as 5. It sure looked like it. And it was actually one of the biggest bodied deer we had processed the whole year. I think he went 185, something of that nature. And talk about an outstanding specimen to take. I mean, how this guy eluded us for as long as he did, I don't know.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
And when you see the picture of him, you'll say, okay, well, it's very obvious. He's got just 1 point on his, I think it's on his left side. I mean, he's got a little dinky 4 on the other side. Well, he had actually broken off, but kind of one of the things we talk about at Rancho Bandido, and really everybody should, is you can just kind of assume that excuse me, the both sides of the antlers, are going to look the same, So if one side's crap, the other side's probably going to be crap, and in this particular case, it probably was. So, anyways, Lacey shouldered her 243 borrowed rifle from another one of our dear friends whose son has killed a lot of deer with it, and I know he's killed a lot of deer of it when we were growing up. And she put the bullet right in the moneymaker and knocked them down, and boy, and that's it. Lots of celebration, and just a real magical time. That is one of those it's one of those chapters in life, that you can go back and look at. And so obviously, Lacey, from the producers of the Feed Bandit podcast, we are very proud of you. That is wonderful. Now we got to get your sister into it. We got to get my daughter into it. My daughter's into it. Jimmy, your son, Jeb. I mean, I know he's, what is he? He's approaching 2 in July. He should be ready,
in no time.
Yeah. Eventually the goal, the end game here really is, if you haven't figured it out now, is I don't want to ever touch fur again in about 20 years. Right. Okay.
Or fill feeders.
Yeah, our fill feeders, absolutely. So now, anyways, what an awesome weekend. Of course, capped off with Lacey making that incredible harvest on that great deer. So they actually post a picture of that on our Instagram, and I'll upload some more pictures from the weekend so you all can see them. But just really cool, a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. There's nothing better than getting a text at night from anybody who shoots a deer. Even if I don't shoot one, I just want someone to, someone to get something. And then it's even better whenever you get a text from one of your best friends saying his daughter shot her first deer. You're like, oh my God, awesome! It just makes everything cool.
Yeah.
So it's
that
was a great night.
It really was. It really was. And I remember it's funny, I was just reminiscing when you talked about the text. Typically what we'll do is we'll all kind of get on the same text thread for the weekend. And it was hysterical when our buddy announced that his daughter had done the deed. Everybody wrote back at the same time. And I could have swore my phone was ringing. There was so much, so anyways. It was great, but yep. So we got No,
I was just gonna say, let's not be remiss to at least point out that one of our other good buddies actually recovered his first hog ever.
Oh yes, that's true. Yes.
So while they were recovering her deer, I went and picked up one of our other buddies who, via the text thread, said that he shot a pig. I was like, all right, awesome. So drive over there and get over there, and he's getting out of the blind. It's dark at this point. So I'm waiting for him to come down, and he comes down, and I think, where's the pig? He said, oh, well, it ran off. And I'm like, oh, man. They're like, okay. Well, I mean, he's like, well, I shot it 4 times. And I was like, okay. I mean, was it a huge pig? He's like, yeah, it was pretty big. I was like, all right, well, do you remember where you shot him like the first time? And this kind of goes to our tracking episode. We were talking about it. Although this was not nearly as extensive of a tracking, but we went out there and we're looking around, and I got my flashlight on, and I'm looking and looking and looking. I'm like, there is no blood here. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no, I really hope he hit this pig.
Right.
So I'm looking, and all of a sudden I get just a slight reflection of one drop of blood on like one blade of grass.
Sure.
Sitting there right on top, and I'm like, and it's fresh. I'm like,
Crazy.
All right, there, you hit it. You hit this pig.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, he must have been huge. I mean, what does he shoot? He shoots a 30-06.
That's what I was going to ask. He got
Yeah.
he got away 4 shots with a 30-06 bolt action.
Maybe he had his 223. I don't remember what he had.
I mean, I love this guy to death, and if he's listening, he definitely knows that. But he ain't no Marine sniper. That's
right. Well, so I mean, I see that blood, and I'm like, okay, now, do you remember which direction he went? You know, it was pitch black where we were. You know, the blind, and he's like, yeah, I think in that general direction. So I'm like, all right. So we start walking with our flashlights, looking, and it's not far to the brush and everything. Right. So I'm like, oh geez. So we're like, okay, well, let's just keep walking and see what we can see. I'm not seeing any blood, not one drop. We get to the brush, and I'm closest to the brush, and he's kind of on the outside, and we're walking along it, and I'm literally saying like, well, they might, they'll lay down here sometimes under here. And as I'm doing that, and I swipe my flashlight like left to right. And I go right over the body, right there, just huge black body, and I'm like, there it is. That's just what I was talking about right there. Like I found, he's right here. Nice. I said it. Our buddy, he was like, no way, really? I was like, yeah, he's right here, and I did not know that he had not recovered one yet.
Well, so I thought he did. I thought he shot one at one of his leases down there near Brady or something like that. I could be wrong.
He said he shot him.
Okay.
But he hadn't found him.
Oh, okay. Well, golly, that's awesome.
So I was like, oh, man, here he is. And I look at him, and I'm like, that is a big pig.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we'll drag him out.
Yeah.
I'll back my truck up, and, we'll take him home. And he ended up being 150 pounds.
Right.
So he cleaned him, got all the meat out of him. And that skin was a good, easy inch thick. Of course.
Yeah, I think you put that on. I think you put that on Instagram, didn't you?
Yeah. Either I did or you did. One of the two. It is on there with like the knife, like in his hand there to kind of show the thing.
Yeah.
But, so he got hit. So that night, we had a first deer, and then we had a first pig recovery. So
Awesome.
Fun night.
Absolutely. So. Well, thankfully for us, the fun is not over yet. I got another go at this weekend, and then we've got an axis hunt planned in February. So if the axis deer is the greatest thing on 4 legs, so hopefully we'll get some good pictures from that. And then we've got an upland bird hunt planned in February as well. So hopefully we'll get some good pictures and videos from that as well. But unfortunately the off season is upon us. But again, something that we'll be talking about very soon is the off season is here. That clock restarts. And the old AC/DC song Thunder just starts to play real soft. And then of course by August it's so loud I'm going out of my mind. But yeah. It's January, and I know at the Rancho Bandido we're getting ready, so we'll be talking about that, I guess, on the next episode, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this one. You got anything else?
That is it, my friend. Good to go here.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, everyone out there, have a good couple days, couple weeks, and we will talk to you soon. All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you want to find new and innovative hunting gear and service providers not typically offered through the traditional big box hunting stores, come on over and join the hunt at feedbandit.com/join. When you join, as a bonus, you'll get our entertaining free e-guide of unique hunting tips and tricks. And a reminder to all you small businesses, feed stores, gear inventors, or entrepreneurs in the hunting space, if you'd like to get more exposure to potential customers by being featured on the Feed Bandit podcast, please let us know. We'd love to discuss what we can do for you and your business. Go to feedbandit.com/promote. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, as it would really help us out. Go to feedbandit.com/iTunes. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, please remember to support your local feed store.